A mother sets sail with her husband for what should have been a peaceful trip through the Bahamas. Days later, she's gone. Her husband claims she was swept overboard during a violent storm, but when investigators examine the evidence, they begin to question whether the sea really took Lynette Hooker or if someone else did. Lynette Hooker stood on a Florida dock while her husband secured their 43-foot sailboat. She was 52, a mother of three, and she genuinely loved the open water. Friends called her practical and grounded. She checked weather reports before small picnics. She packed emergency supplies for routine drives. This Bahamas trip was supposed to reward years of raising children and working hard. She typed a final message to her daughter that morning. Finally relaxing, love you. She pressed send and stepped onto the boat. She did not know those words would become her last written proof of being alive. The sun was bright. The wind was calm. David Hooker had been Lynette's husband for 14 years. On sailing forums and social media, they appeared as an ideal couple. He was experienced, confident, always in command of the vessel. Their photos showed date nights and holiday gatherings, arms wrapped around each other at every family event. But friends whispered about small moments that did not fit the picture. A sharp remark at a restaurant, a long stretch of silence during a car ride, nothing loud enough to alarm anyone, nothing violent enough to predict disaster. But sometimes the quietest relationships hold the heaviest secrets, and secrets stay hidden once land disappears. The Hookers departed Fort Lauderdale on March 14th. Clear skies, light winds. Their route stretched toward the Bahamas, a 2-week journey across turquoise water. Lynette packed paperbacks and sunscreen. David inspected the engine and studied navigation charts. The official forecast predicted gentle seas of 2 to 3 feet, ideal conditions for a leisurely cruise. Lynette called her sister from the dock and laughed about finally taking a real break. She promised to send photographs of every island they visited. That promise remained unfulfilled. 3 days later, the boat arrived at Bimini. David walked off alone. Lynette did not follow. David Hooker approached the Bimini Marina alone. He told dock workers that his wife had been swept overboard during a violent overnight storm. He claimed he searched for hours, but the waves defeated him. The marina staff exchanged glances. There had been no reported storms near Bimini that week. They studied David's boat. The sails were folded neatly. The deck appeared clean and orderly. Nothing suggested a vessel that had survived hurricane-force conditions. They placed a call to the Coast Guard anyway. That single phone call opened an investigation that would expose financial records, phone logs, and a secret relationship no one saw coming. David provided the Coast Guard with a specific timeline. Around 2 a.m., a sudden storm appeared without warning. Winds reached an estimated 60 miles per hour. Waves broke across the deck repeatedly. He went below to retrieve life jackets for both passengers. When he returned to the cockpit, Lynette had vanished. No scream, no splash, just empty space where she had been standing. He turned on every light and circled the area for nearly an hour. Then, exhausted and overwhelmed, he resumed sailing toward Bimini. He said he reported the disappearance as soon as he had phone reception. The evidence disagreed. Forensic teams found no signs of a person falling overboard. The deck railings measured 3 feet in height. Lynette stood 5 feet 4 inches tall. Falling without grabbing something would have required unusual effort. Falling without leaving fingernail scratches on the fiberglass seemed physically impossible. The life ring remained strapped to the mast. David never released it. The boat's autopilot had been active while he went below, meaning the vessel continued moving away from any person in the water. Electronic logs showed David waited 47 minutes before changing course. That delay became a central piece of the investigation. A detail emerged that made investigators pause. Before David radioed for help, he prepared and ate a sandwich. Forensic teams found the plate in the galley, bread, meat, cheese. A simple meal consumed while his wife was supposedly drowning in the dark. When questioned, David said he needed physical strength to search effectively. Search and rescue professionals offered a different view. A person who genuinely believes their spouse has fallen overboard does not stop for food. They scream. They throw flotation devices. They call for help immediately. Eating a sandwich suggested waiting. It suggested staging. It suggested a man who knew no rescue was coming. 6 months before the trip, David upgraded Lynette's life insurance policy. The new value reached $1.2 million. He was the sole named beneficiary. The couple had been struggling with credit card debt, a second mortgage, and a failed business investment. Lynette reportedly believed she was signing a small term policy. She did not know about the $1.2 million. Around that same period, David maintained a romantic relationship with another woman. Phone records showed late-night calls lasting hours. The woman later admitted the affair had been ongoing for 8 months. David told her his marriage was ending. Instead of filing divorce papers, he planned a cruise. 3 days before departure, Lynette left a voicemail for her sister. Her voice sounded quiet and hesitant. She said, "If anything happens on this trip, look at the boat." The sisters saved the recording and later handed it to investigators. The Coast Guard searched 4,000 square miles of ocean for 7 consecutive days. Helicopters flew from dawn until dusk. Divers checked reefs near Bimini. They found nothing: no body, no clothing, no debris. The official report concluded that circumstances remained undetermined. Maritime law treats the ocean as a graveyard. Without physical remains, criminal charges become almost impossible. David walked out of the courthouse a free man. David Hooker collected the full $1.2 million from the insurance company. He sold the boat within 2 months of Lynette's disappearance. He remarried approximately 3 years later. Lynette's adult children have refused all contact with him since the memorial service that never had a body. The voicemail still sits on her sister's phone. The boat's data log still records that 47-minute delay. The life ring was never untied from the mast. The sandwich plate was washed and returned to the cabinet. The ocean keeps its secrets, but sometimes the evidence is not underwater. Sometimes it is right there on the deck.